Dapo Daramola. He's joining me now in the studios. He's a sports analyst, and we're here to look at what we spent on the London 2012 Olympics. Thank you so much, Dapo, for being here. Now, as I mentioned earlier, talking about in financial terms, when you talk about return on investment, you invest, you put money in a particular project, and depending on what the project is, but bottom line, you do expect, some return on investment.
Sure.
It might not be money, it might be, something. In this case, obviously not money, but, medals. So let's start from you. What are your thoughts looking at do we start from our preparation? What went wrong?
Well, I think one is to establish the fact that if you want to start from the host of the Olympics itself, you will talk about London, Great Britain, and you agree with me that they spent about 11.3 billion pounds, both in preparation and also getting the games off the ground and ensuring that we had beautiful games. Now, let me also say that the number of medals, you said, the Team GB, as they are known, as the Great Britain, the British team, they won. Let's establish the fact also that they spent about 300 million pounds to train those athletes.
But they came back with just 65 medals.
Well, fine. If you break it down, they broke it down to the point that it comes to about 80 pence paid by each British person. Okay. Now, if you break it down to that taxpayers' money, so if you break the 300 million pounds that were used, actually it was about between 275 million pounds, but approximately, I said 300 million pounds. So if you break it down, they said it's about 80 pence on each taxpayer. So it's not so demanding, on each taxpayer, and that's why it seems, there's no hue and cry about the number of medals that was won.
Or the overall money spent on the event itself, 11.3.
On the event, exactly. Okay. Because if you break about 12 million pounds, 12 billion pounds that was spent, it comes to about 400 pounds, per taxpayer. You may say it's huge for some, but overall, if you prorate it, you will discover that that's not why we cannot hear too much of cries. Because if it comes to about 400 pounds and then 80 pence, then you realize that they've not coughed out about 500 pounds per person. That is the money for, the hosting the games itself and the money for, preparing the athletes. But the question is, it shows the seriousness of countries like Australia, countries like Russia, countries like US, and countries like China, and the Great Britain, that they want to win medals. They want to go there, participate and win. And then, like you said, get returns on investment in terms of, these athletes are going to be role models. For some, they're going to inspire another generation. So you quantify all this, the cost and benefits. You quantify it from all that. It's going to be holistic. They're not going to bring it because at the end of the day, it is the athletes themselves that will get endorsements, sponsorships. Yes, they will pay tax also if you want to look at it from that angle. So overall, it is win-win. Okay, because they have spent 12 billion pounds, and between now and the next 5 years, it has been analyzed by Lloyd's, the Lloyd's banking group, that Great Britain will benefit about 20 billion pounds over 5 years.
That's after the Olympics.
After the Olympics, that is going to be a growth. If you're going to look at how it's going to rise for them. So it may be slow, but they have said between now and the next 5 years, okay, that's according to the Lloyd Banking Group, that Great Britain is going to get another like 20 billion pounds. Because you're going to look at improved infrastructures. In London, East London, there has been so much money spent. They've revamped the entire area. It's looking beautiful. The transportation system has changed holistically. So if you break it down, and then they have 5,000 housing units, and they're going to sell. Because that's the Olympic Village. They're going to sell. Then tourism is expected to rise. Because yes, some people did not go there this time around, but they want to still visit London and see that great city that hosted the world. And then to see the great infrastructures that are in place. So if you begin to, quantify, one after the other, you will discover that it's a win-win situation for the British people. But unfortunately, especially in Nigeria, if we host a tournament, there is no accounts. And that's where the loss starts from. The moment you cannot say we spent ₦1, okay, and we got 1.5,
who are in charge.
Unfortunately, I see, and that's why I laugh when we define the concept of economic, financial crimes according to the EFCC timetable or the EMTC terms of reference. I wonder what constitutes an economic, or financial crime when this same country hosted the All African Games, Koja, and about 40 billion was spent of taxpayers' money. And here we are. We have not even received an account of how that money was spent. We have not even received an account of how much money was made.
So we don't have a
we have not even received an account. And yet, EFCC, and that's what I said, I wonder what constitutes, and you will see the same EFCC chasing 419 youngsters, Yahoo boys, in these cyber cafes, and that is what they concentrate on and then dot checks when you have serious economic financial crimes going on in the sports industry, and nobody seems to be concerned.
But let's come down to what we, right from where it all begins. Like, let's start from Beijing to 2008, when Beijing ended. What is an average athlete expected to do for those who went there, participated, whether or not they spent, before we go right into the numbers, whether or not they won any medals? You're from China, you're from Australia, those countries are usually, win medals. So the Olympics ends. What are you expected to do from then for the next 4 years before the next Olympics?
I mean, it's just like a student that goes for an exam. Okay, if you did well, then, it doesn't rest there. You want to begin to prepare for the next, maybe session or something. In this case, the moment we go for a tournament or a competition of this magnitude, the athlete knows that is where the moment you are saying bye-bye to that games, that is where the preparation for the next game starts. Because you look at where you are. Okay, let's say an athlete that runs maybe 9.46 seconds. You know definitely that in the next games, you want to beat that particular record. That is where it starts. And so the motivation is not, you have to self-motivate yourself. And so the training starts from the next day. So
should there be any other support system for the athlete at that point in time also?
Naturally, because what the NOC is then meant to do is to sit with all the sporting, local, domestic, sporting federations, whether it is Nigerian Boxing, Federation, whether it is, the Nigerian Wrestling Federation, whether it is the AFN, that is Athletics Federation of Nigeria, whether it is Nigerian Football. You sit down, you have a holistic meeting and say, hey, you guys, this is how far we went. Sports has gone scientific. You must be able to tell us what time each of these athletes, what time they posted. And you must be able to break it down, the metabolism. How did you prepare them? Scientifically, you must be able to bring a report. And it is that report that will now tell us, okay, this is the way to go. If we need our athletes to be in top shape and to meet this particular record, because you now pitch it against the record of other athletes, and say, okay, Justin Gatlin or maybe Usain Bolt ran this number of time. What kind of preparation did he, got him to that position? You then know that, okay, this athlete needs to be training under this weather. This is supposed to be their schedule. Okay, so for the next 4 years, you will plan yourself, and then the athletes will pitch themselves, will put themselves into your timetable. And so the training so both administratively and on the part of the athletes, it goes hand in hand. Unfortunately, we don't have any administration. Okay, that is the problem. So the athletes are lost.